Sophia Blake, a young woman from one of the wealthiest families in the town, had always been surrounded by luxury. Her father, Mr. Blake, was a businessman with influence in every sector. Despite all this wealth, Sophia never cared much for the flashy lifestyle. She preferred a quiet life, staying out of the public eye. But recently, she had started dating a man named Ethan, and things had taken an unexpected turn. Ethan seemed like a good guy at first. He was charming, mysterious, and a little too perfect. Sophia felt she had found someone who wasn't interested in her money or family connections, and that was refreshing. But then, one evening, Ethan disappeared. He didn't call, didn't leave a message. He just vanished without a trace. Worried but unsure of where to turn, Sophia contacted her childhood friend, David. David wasn't a private investigator by trade, but he had a reputation for solving problems others couldn't. He had done odd jobs for influential families before, and though he wasn't thrilled about getting involved with the Blakes again, he couldn't say no to Sophia. David had his doubts about Ethan from the start. Something about the guy never sat right with him, but Sophia had been smitten. So, despite his reservations, he agreed to help her find the missing man. David started by visiting Ethan's so-called apartment. The place wasn't what Ethan had made it out to be. The luxury apartment Ethan had boasted about was just a rented flat, barely lived in. The furniture looked like it was just for show, and there were no personal belongings anywhere. No clothes, no pictures, not even a toothbrush in the bedroom. It was like Ethan had never lived there at all. David then went to check out the restaurant Ethan claimed to own. It was a popular spot, known for its excellent food. But when David asked around, it turned out Ethan wasn't the owner at all. He was just an investor, and a small one at that. The real owner was a businessman who had never even heard of Ethan. As David dug deeper, it became clear that Ethan was more than just a mystery. He was a ghost. He had no social media presence, no friends who could vouch for him, and no traceable past. It was as if he had appeared out of nowhere. But David wasn't the only one looking for him. The more questions he asked, the more he realized that others were on Ethan's trail too. Someone else wanted to find him, and it wasn't for a friendly chat. David's instincts told him that Ethan was dangerous, and as he continued his investigation, he found himself entangled in a web of deceit, fraud, and something far darker. Mr. Blake's business rivals seemed too interested in Ethan's disappearance, and David couldn't shake the feeling that Sophia's family knew more than they were letting on. After days of searching, David finally found a lead, an old colleague of Ethan, Robert, who knew him from their time in university. Robert explained that Ethan had always been a hustler, always pretending to be someone he wasn't. Ethan had left a trail of broken relationships and financial scams in his wake, and now he was in deeper trouble than David could have imagined. The truth was, Ethan had gotten involved with some very dangerous people, including a shady businessman who had been using Ethan's charm to get close to wealthy families like the Blakes. And now Ethan had disappeared, possibly to avoid those who were after him. David knew this was getting too dangerous, but he was already too deep. He confronted Sophia with what he had found, urging her to stay away from Ethan if he ever resurfaced. Sophia had broken, realized she had been fooled, but she couldn't bring herself to believe Ethan was all bad. She still wanted to find him to hear his side of the story. As David tried to pull back, Sophia's determination dragged him further in. Together they went to one final location, a small guest house where Ethan had been spotted. When they arrived, the place was empty except for a note left on the bed. The note was simple: "Stop looking for me, it's better this way." David knew that Ethan wasn't coming back, at least not willingly, whether he was running from the people he had wronged or from his own past. It was clear that Ethan was better left as a ghost in Sophia's memory. But David also knew that trouble had a way of following people like Ethan, and if Sophia kept searching, it would soon find her too. As they left the guest house, David couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't over, and for Sophia the mystery of Ethan would linger, a painful reminder that not everyone who seems perfect can be trusted.